Okay, so far the only thing that we've talked about is when two triangles are congruent, all the pieces have to be congruent. Okay, so if we look at these marks, okay, all these corresponding pieces are congruent. So F is congruent to J, and G is congruent to K, and H is congruent to L. Okay, so that's what those marks mean. That's what we did last class. We looked at these congruence statements last class. I know last class seems like an eternity ago. Remember that this order matters. So F is the first letter, J, it corresponds to J. And then you can also do the segments. So FG, so FG is this one right here, corresponds to JK. And those two sides are congruent. So remember that congruence statement is really important. Okay, any questions on that? That's what we did last time. All right, so I want to conclude if these two triangles are congruent. Remember, the only thing that I've taught you so far is that I need all the pieces congruent. So let's look at this diagram, and I want you to tell me whether you think that these two triangles are congruent. And number one. They are congruent, okay? Well, if I use this as kind of my base of what I'm thinking, I have three sides and three angles are congruent. So I know that R is congruent to U, and then RTK is congruent to UTK, good. And then I have RK congruent to UK. All right, so now you've only said two sides and two angles to me. Where are the other sides and angles? Somebody give me the other side. TK. TK is congruent to TK, right? And what property is that?
I don't remember.
Reflexive property. You're going to use that a lot when we do proofs, okay? And then there's one other, you should know this, and there's actually a name of a theorem that says that if two angles of a triangle are congruent, the third one must be congruent. It's the third angle. Somebody kick my smartboard. The third angle theorem. But you don't need to know the name of that, but you do need to know if two angles of a triangle are congruent to two angles of another triangle, then those two triangles are congruent. Okay? So you're correct. Those are congruent triangles. How about number two?
No.
Why not? Are different, right? Exactly. If the lengths of the sides are different, those two triangles can't be congruent, right? So this one's yes, and then this one's no. Now, what I'm going to teach you today is there's actually a minimal amount of information. You need to only know three things, okay, in two triangles to determine whether they're congruent. You actually don't need to know all this. You only need three pieces of information. Okay, so there's 5 theorems I'm going to teach you today. That's going to make your life a lot easier. This is actually pretty much all of Unit 5 is what we're doing today. Okay, and then we're just going to practice, and you're going to apply what I teach you. I'm going to teach you a very specific way I want you to do it, and I want you to do it my way every single time. Got it? All right, first of all, let's look at the first example. I want you to mark on your diagram the sides that are congruent, just like we did last time. Okay? So let's start with the 6. So I'm going to put a little tick mark there, and then I'm going to come over here and put my tick mark on that side. And then what am I going to do to 7? 2. Good. And then 10? 3. Okay, so that's step 1. Everybody with me? All right. Step 2 is I want you to tell me what these numbers are representing. Angles or sides? Sides. So I want you to put an S here, and then an S with the 7. S represents side. Okay, and then an S with a 6, S with a 6. And then S with the 10, and S with the 10. Because that's triggering my memory that I'm not talking about angles in this picture, I'm only talking about sides. So what do you think that we can conclude? Are these two triangles congruent?
Yes.
Yes, and there's a theorem. What do you think that theorem is called? Side, 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 triangle congruence theorem. See? It's easy, right? So step 1 is making your tick marks, then labeling the sides and angles. Okay, SSS, side, side, side. So that's one of our triangle congruence theorems. So if you have two triangles and you see all the sides are congruent, you can conclude that those two triangles are congruent. Everybody good? All right, let's look at the next one. What am I going to do first for the next one? Tick marks. So you on your page, do your tick marks. Don't wait for me. Everybody got the same tick mark as mine? That's fine. You could have done 2 on the 7 and 1 on the 9. That's fine. Okay, so now I want to label sides and angles. So is 7 a side or an angle? Side. What about the 9? Side. I'm going to do the same thing over here in this triangle. What about that 79? What's that 79? An angle. So what's this triangle theorem?
Side angle side.
Side angle side. Okay, before you move on, can you tell me the relationship between the two sides and that angle? Where is this angle in relation to these two sides? In the middle. What's a geometry term that I want to hear that means included? Very good. In order for this theorem to work, okay, that angle needs to be between those two sides. It has to be the included angle or it does not work. If I had given you this angle over here, okay, it doesn't work. It has to be between those two sides. Everybody got it? All right. Okay, mark up that diagram for me. Tick marks, A's and S's. What's this theorem called? Angle, side angle. All right, before we go to the next one, since we can conclude that these two triangles are congruent because we learned this handy theorem called side angle side. I'm sorry, angle side angle. Can you write the second part of that congruence statement for me? I said the triangle RQP. Remember when we write congruence statements, the order matters. What triangle can you say that that's congruent to? M. All right, let me show you a trick. I'm starting, this is the way that I do these. Because if you rely on what you're looking at and you try to turn the triangle like this and see if maybe I can get them to line up, that's not going to work. Okay? I want you to put your finger on the R. What does that correspond to in the other diagram? N. 84, 84. Okay? So first of all, we're going to start off with triangle. So 84 to 84, so now I'm at N. Now from the R, I'm going to P. So where do I need to go in my second triangle? M. And then lastly, O. And it's very easy for you to check, especially the ones that have the markings on it, because I can say R to N, 84. Q to O, those are 75. They have to match up, right? All right, let's do the next one. Make your tick marks. Label S's and A's. And then I want you to write a triangle congruence statement. I'll start you off.
You mean OPM?
Oh, yeah. All right. I did that. I think I just wrote it on my paper wrong. Yes.
Does it matter like which way you write the
It does not, but I will always give you the first triangle. But no, it doesn't matter. As long as if you had written it, if I didn't tell you and you had just written it, as long as it matches with your second one, it's fine. Yes. There you go. Okay, I'm gonna mark up my diagrams because I know you already did yours. Okay, so what theorem is this?
Angle, angle, side.
Good. Angle, angle, side. Angle, angle, side. Okay. Now, please notice, is this side included between these two angles? No, it is not. That's why this one's angle, angle, side. And if you look at the first one that we did, on the top of this page, this one was angle, side, angle, because that side is included between the two angles. Please do not get those confused. Yes, ma'am?
What if you wrote side angle? That's the one.
No, that's not right. We write it, it's not technically wrong, but the theorem is angle, angle, side, so you always want to do AAS.
Okay.
Okay? Okay, who can give me the congruence here? Triangle. OPN is congruent to triangle KLM. If you don't put that triangle, I have no idea what you're talking about, and I'll mark it wrong. You have to have the triangle there, okay? Because if you just put KLM, that's just 3 random letters. I have no idea what you're talking about, okay? All right, last one.
Wait, so
Angle, angle, side. And you should list it in this order. Angle, angle, side. Okay? All right, last one. Okay, put your tick marks on your paper. Then put your A's and S's. Okay. The name of this theorem, I better not see anybody write a bad word on your paper. If you have a bad word on your paper right now, you better erase it. Okay? It's also not SSA. No, there is a conclusion. What kind of triangle is this? It's a right triangle. Okay? So this is a right triangle. So right triangles are special. Right triangles are special. Can anybody tell me what the name of this side, VW, is? What's the name of that side? Hypotenuse. And what's the name of this side, VX? Leg. So for right triangles, because there are no asses in geometry, we call this hypotenuse leg. This only works for right triangles. If it's not a right triangle, you cannot tell me hypotenuse leg. Okay, now let's do a congruence theorem. A congruence statement. VXW. S. S. T. U. Does everybody see how it's STU? Alright, so for this one I'm going to start with V. Now, it's confusing because you're not really sure where to start in the other diagram because there's no angle measures. So what you should do is, I'm going to jump to the next letter. V to X. V to X goes over what side? The one with the 8. Okay, which means I need to go over here and go across the one with the 8. So I have to go to S to T. So that's why it's STU. Okay, so if there's no angle measures, you need to look at the side you're going across in order to figure out where to start with the other one. That one's hard. Okay? Questions? SSA. That doesn't exist. But what about this? Are these two triangles congruent?
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yes. They are.
Yes, they are.
Maybe they don't know what congruent means if we define it.
What does congruent mean? The same measure.
Yes.
Oh.
What has to have the same measure though?
Angles.
Angles and the sides. Okay, let me make it more clear. Are these two triangles?
No.
No, they're not.
No. Okay, so for equal angular triangles, yes, all the angles are congruent, but I could have a really, really tiny triangle, or I could stretch it out and make a big one. So angle, angle, angle is not a triangle congruence. Do not use angle, angle, angle. I will give you one that will try to trick you. Angle, angle, angle is not a triangle congruence theorem. Okay? All right, any questions? No? All right, so we're going to take what I just taught you and we're going to apply it. If you flip the page, that gives you all the theorems we just talked about, okay, except that I put it kind of more simply, but basically you have all the information that's on this page. These 5 congruence theorems you have to have memorized, okay? You're going to see them for the rest of your life. You have to have them memorized, or at least until the end of this course. All right, so flip the page one more time, and there's practice here. What I suggest that you do is we're going to write the 5 congruence theorems that we just learned across the top of the page so you know which ones you're allowed to use. Okay? So, first one, I'll start off. Side, side, side. What else? Side angle side. Now these pictures already have the tick marks on them. Alright, but we still need to put A's and S's on here. You need to do it this way because the triangles are overlapping and it's going to start to get confusing. Alright, so this tick mark here, is that an angle or a side? Side. Okay, then I have, what's this? Arc. Arc. A is an angle. Now I need 3 pieces of information, right?
Mm-hmm.
What's my other piece?
Side.
AB and BC.
Side AC. Because, right, that's congruent to itself. So are these 2 triangles congruent? What's the reason?
That's side angle.
Side angle side. You can't make up information. If I don't have 3 S's here, that can't be side, side, side. You only can use the S's and the A's that you put in your diagram. Okay, and write the congruence theorem. BAC is congruent to triangle
DCA.
DCA. The congruence statements are a little difficult, but the only way you're going to learn them is if you practice. You think you've got this? Yes? Nobody's looking at me anymore, so I'm assuming you're working ahead. All right. Take a few minutes and do B, C, D, and E. for B, what's my reason? Side, side, side. And what's my triangle congruence? MLN. Everybody good? Okay, how about the next one?
HL.
Very good. Hypotenuse leg. Okay? It was not ASS. Hypotenuse leg. And
PRQ.
PRQ. Everybody good? Are you sure? Alright. Let's do the last two. Angle, side angle. Very good.
SUV.
SUV. Triangle SUV. Remember that I need that symbol there. That symbol has to be there. I have no idea what you're talking about. Yes.
Does it have to be that way, or can we do that regular triangle? Because I do the triangles like just like a regular.
Yeah, that's fine.
It doesn't have to be
As long as
sideways.
it's closed. Yeah, no. As long as it's, yeah. It can't be like that,
Right.
right, because that means angle. But yes, that's fine. Okay, and then the last one. Angle, angle, side. And triangle DEF. Pretty good? Easy? Alright. The two at the bottom, let's do those together, and then I'll leave you to do the rest on your own. All you have to do is tell me whether they're congruent or not. Number one, congruent, yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, why?
Size and angles.
Angle, side, angle.
Good. Remember when I say, don't whatever, Joel. When I say, why are they congruent, I want one of those congruent theorems, right? Okay, because where's the side that's congruent? All I see is the angle, 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 angle. Where's the other one?
The one in the middle.
The one in the middle, right?
Next to the side.
Okay, and then, oh, this one's tricky.
Hypotenuse leg.
Hypotenuse leg.
HL.
Knew I was going to get you guys. Okay, so first of all, for hypotenuse leg, I need a right triangle. Is this a right triangle?
Yes.
Okay, what needs to be congruent? The
That.
one of the legs and the what's congruent in this picture?
The legs.
The legs, right? Is the hypotenuse? Can I see that the hypotenuse is congruent to itself, to the other triangle? No, so I can't say hypotenuse leg because there's nothing, no information is given to me about the hypotenuse. So what is it then? Good. Side angle side.
So it's not congruent.
It is congruent, but it's side angle side. Okay, because remember you have to have information about the hypotenuse.
But how do you know the hypotenuse is equal to the
It has to have the tick marks on it. And remember the hypotenuse is the side across from the right angle. So it would have had to have had a mark that said GI is congruent to KJ. Okay, that's the only reason why you could use hypotenuse leg. Okay? Alright. Can we, alright, flip the page for me. Take a few seconds. All I want you to do for these is tell me whether they're congruent or not. And the reason. Okay, for number 2, what is it?
Yes.
Angle, side, angle. Okay, what's my side? Right, exactly, that shared side. So there are 2 situations, okay, that you can look at a diagram and pull information even though it's not marked, okay? Meaning that right now all I have is an angle, and another angle, and another angle. But I know that that side is congruent to itself, so that's my side. Okay, I'm allowed to do that. The second situation is in number 3. So if you labeled this side, side, angle, angle, because I know everyone is doing what I asked.
Yeah.
I need another piece of information. Where is that other piece of information? Right, angle NLM. What about that angle? Vertical angles, and you know that vertical angles are congruent, so I'm going to put my marks on there. So there's my other A. So why is this congruent? What's my reason? AAS. Okay, because that side is over here. It's not between those two angles. All right, what about the last one? Okay, if you label like I asked you to, are there any vertical angles? Are there any shared sides?
Any tick mark?
So the answer is no. On the test and on the quiz, because you have a quiz on this later in the week, there will be one that's no. You need to put the A's and the S's on there or you're not going to get it right. You cannot make up information. Okay, how do we feel? All right. There's a different way I could ask you this question. So let's look at 5 and 6. Okay, so number 5 says state the third congruence that must be given to prove that triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF using the indicated postulate or theorem. So this is kind of the converse of what I asked you before. I gave you all the information, you told me the theorem. I'm giving you the theorem, you need to tell me the piece of information that I'm missing. Okay, so they want me to use angle, side angle. Okay, so I'm going to mark on my picture just like I did before. Angle, 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 angle. What am I missing? The side. What side? AB has to be congruent to DE. Because it has to be the included side. Now 6 is tricky. See if you can do 6. All right, let's look at the last two. Are these two triangles congruent? Why? Hypotenuse leg. Triangle ABC is congruent to EDF. Remember, the congruent statements are easy if you can go back and double check yourself. Once you've written it down, check A and E. Well, that doesn't really help me, right? And then B and C. So AB corresponds to ED. AB to ED, and then BC. BC has 1 tick mark, and DF has 1 tick mark. So go back and double check yourself once you've written them. All right, and then the last one, yes or no? Yes? Why?
Oh, for the side. Angle, side, angle.
Good, angle, side angle. And X, Z, Y, W, Y, Z.